On February 23rd, 1692, in London, brothers Increase and Samuel Mather, may remember them from Boston, they were entertained by a woman who told them she'd been visited by the ghost of her son 2 weeks after his death. According to her account, her son reassured her that he was happy where he was, and then he disappeared. But Increase Mather knew that ghosts could be devils manipulating grieving people, as had happened in the case of Alice Lake, a woman convicted of witchcraft in Boston in about 1650, who, it was said, had been visited by the devil in the guise of her dead son, who tempted her to witchcraft. Another Mather brother, Nathaniel, had written to Increase about that very incident in 1684. Welcome to Salem Witch Trials Daily. I'm Josh Hutchinson. Today we have some exciting news for you. Bill H. 1927, that's a Massachusetts bill to exonerate people accused of witchcraft in Boston and elsewhere around the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So that bill has been favorably reported out of the Judiciary Committee, meaning that it's now going to the full House of Representatives in the General Court so that it can be debated and voted on. There have been some technical changes to the language, and a new bill number is being assigned. We'll let you know as soon as we hear more. In the meantime, the momentum is real, and now is the time to act. We need people to contact their Massachusetts representatives, share this episode, sign the petition. Every voice matters as this bill moves forward. Details on how to help are at the end of the episode.
Before Salem, Boston's forgotten victims. Salem 1692 has long been treated as a beginning, but it never was the beginning. Massachusetts had been executing people for witchcraft since 1648, a full 44 years before the first Salem arrests. The fears, the evidence, the methods, all of it was already established in Boston before it exploded in Salem. You can't understand Salem without understanding Boston's witch hunts.
To understand Boston, we're going to begin with the 5 women who were executed there for witchcraft. The first person executed for that crime in Massachusetts, hanged on June 15th, 1648, was Margaret Jones. She was described as a healer from Charlestown, was accused after a quarrel with neighbors led to some mischief befalling their livestock. Guards watched her using methods popularized by the notorious English witch finder general Matthew Hopkins, and they claimed to see a small child run from her. Now, watching briefly was to see if a familiar or imp would appear to feed from the witch's teat. And so they saw this little child run from her, and I guess that counted as an imp. A neighbor, Alice Stratton, tried to defend her and was subsequently accused herself. Governor John Winthrop recorded in his journal that a great tempest struck Connecticut the very hour Jones was hanged.
Just a few years later, in 1651, Elizabeth Kendall was convicted. She was accused by a nurse from Watertown of bewitching a child to death. Kendall was hanged despite maintaining her innocence. After her execution, it was revealed the child's own parents did not suspect Kendall at all. They blamed the nurse for leaving the baby in the cold.
A mother of 4 from Dorchester, Alice Lake, denied being a witch when she was accused in about 1650, but she confessed to having attempted to conceal a pregnancy in her youth. She believed she deserved death for that earlier sin, even while maintaining her innocence of witchcraft.
Anne Hibbens was hanged in 1656. She was the widow of a wealthy Boston merchant and magistrate, and her troubles began with a dispute over work done on her home by carpenters that she was not happy with. She was executed, never having confessed. Minister John Norton later remarked that she was, quote, hanged for a witch only for having more wit than her neighbors.
And then there was Goody Glover in 1688. An Irish Catholic laundress and Gaelic speaker, Goody Glover was accused after an argument with the Goodwin family over stolen laundry. When the Goodwin children suffered convulsions and fits, Glover was arrested. She was hanged November 16th, 1688, just 4 years before Salem. Cotton Mather wrote the primary account of her case in Memorable Providences and noted that he required an interpreter because she spoke Gaelic. Her execution directly shaped his thinking about witchcraft, thinking he brought with him to Salem.
There were 3 others that were convicted but not executed, and they also are on this bill for exoneration. Hugh Parsons was a brickmaker from Springfield at the center of a witch panic that gripped the entire town. His wife Mary accused him of witchcraft and confessed to killing their child. Mary died in prison. Hugh was convicted, but the general court overturned the victim and he moved to Rhode Island. That was in 1651.
Eunice Cole was brought to court on witchcraft accusations again and again over more than 2 decades. From 1656 to 1680, she was being accused, and she was convicted at least once and whipped and jailed. But we don't know the extent of how long she was actually in prison. She appears to have been jailed more than once for witchcraft, and her case is one of the most persistent in colonial Massachusetts history.
She was actually up for an exoneration in New Hampshire in 2022, and that bill went from the committee through the House, but then failed in the Senate. So Eunice Cole needs our signatures on this change.org/witch trials petition. Let's get her exonerated this time.
And Elizabeth Morse was convicted in 1680 of witchcraft. Elizabeth and her husband William endured what was basically poltergeist kind of activity in their home, with stones being thrown at their roof and around inside their house, tools flying around, a hog that appeared indoors when all the doors were locked. Elizabeth was convicted, but she was allowed to live out her life under house arrest. Increased Mather included her case in an essay for the recording of Illustrious Providences.
These cases that were tried in Boston laid the groundwork for what happened in Salem. More than 200 people were formally charged with witchcraft in Massachusetts between 1648 and 1693. Massachusetts has already amended a 1957 resolve twice in 2001 and again in 2022 to fully exonerate Salem convicted, but this bill will clear the names of those that have been overlooked in the Boston trials.
So this bill is moving forward, and this is the moment for us to take action. You can start by signing the petition. Just go to change.org/witch trials and sign our petition to get this legislation through. You can contact your Massachusetts representative and senator and urge their support for the bill. Share this episode. Every time you share this, someone else will hear it and they can take action as well. And if you know people in Massachusetts, encourage them to get involved.
Witch hunting is not a relic of the past, and it's not just a figurative statement. There are still innocent people who are suffering because of fear of witchcraft crimes. So this exoneration, it's a justice for these 8, but it also helps us say louder to the world that witch hunting is not okay.